Welcome back for the fourth and final bonus round of the Training Tracker tutorial videos. If you haven't seen parts 1, 2, or 3 tutorials, I would recommend you go back now and watch those videos first, as they explain all of the prerequisite information you'll need to this point. Hi, I'm Jennifer from Jester Safety Resources. If you're struggling to keep track of all of your employee training and don't have a software program to do it for you, I hear you. You've worked hard the last 3 weeks entering all of the pertinent training information into your spreadsheet and then adding all of the special customizations to really make this creation your own. In this bonus video, I'll show you how to include your company's JSAs into your training routine in a very specific way. This 4-part tutorial series walks you through a proven and effective way to track your workplace trainings so that when asked to provide this information by your employer or an auditor on the spot, you always have everything that you need right there at your fingertips. In Part 1, you compiled and documented your employee identifiers. In Part 2, you entered all of the trainings that you offer to your employees. In Part 3, you learned how to distinguish the trainings required by each specific employee and how to utilize color coding within the body of your spreadsheet. And now we've reached Part 4, which is a bonus video where I'll show you how to lay out a roadmap to break down department-specific training using job safety analysis or company policies and the best way to track what's been reviewed by each employee. You've gotten this far and you're doing a great job. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and let's jump right in. Actually, before we dive into our training trackers this week, let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. First, we need to break down the various jobs within our company. Since each department likely has specialized job duties associated with it, we need to look into our job safety analysis or JSA library and determine which ones to assign for each specific job title or department. For example, the first column is for electrician training within the maintenance department. The specific JSAs for classroom review are entered into the column and so on and so forth. I've identified the name of each JSA along with the specific company identifier and number that you've assigned to each. I'll give you examples of each of the different JSA groupings that I've put together on the template to help you get started. On the next several slides, I'll outline a fairly generic list of the basic JSAs that I've assigned to specific jobs on my training tracker template. If you're still on the fence about what JSAs you may need to include on your tracker, pause the presentation throughout the course of the next several slides and jot down the ones that apply to you, starting with this one, the electrician associated JSAs. I would also encourage you to visit our website, that's Jester Safety Resources at www.paperjester.com to access many of these JSA templates, as well as to download a copy of my training tracker with all of the training we've discussed already included and ready to be revised to fit into your specific needs. We're followed by the General Maintenance Positions JSA listing and the JSA list for forklift operators. I'm sure you're noticing that this list is fairly brief, but remember, these are only generalized lists. You should add to and customize the lists in a way that really complement the main training and ensure the most complete training for your authorized operators. And this is the basic list for general production workers. Again, each facility has a variety of specific equipment and operations that should be taken into consideration when creating your JSA training list. Here's a generic list to accompany lab worker training. Based on your operations, you should again create a JSA for each specific task or hazardous material that your employees deal with in the course of performing their jobs. Painter JSAs may also need to include such topics as respirators, chemical handling and fumes, paint disposal, stainless steel pickling, barricading, etc. And here's a look at some basic sanitation JSAs. Again, pause the presentation if you need to write down any ideas for your own tracker. And here are some of the JSAs that I've included for our transportation employees. In this tutorial, you'll notice that this time I've shown you the various tabs that I've added to turn your training tracker into a functioning workbook. Tutorials 1, 2, and 3 all focused on your main spreadsheet. So now on this tab, I want you to rename it EE or Employee Training - All Facilities. Next, I want you to click the plus button to create a new spreadsheet within your workbook. Rename the tab for your new spreadsheet Lab Specific. You'll need to go back to your main training page and pull out all of the employees who work in the lab and copy and paste their employee identifiers into this new spreadsheet. Notice that I've deleted the columns that contain employee numbers, preferred language, and shift, as I found that this just clutters the page with duplicate information. Next, you'll want to add columns for each lab-specific JSA review. Enter your titles of your JSAs alphabetically, along with the JSA identifier that you've assigned to each. If you decide to add the required or not required columns, note that all lab workers listed on this spreadsheet are normally required to review each of the JSAs listed. You're going to repeat this same process for each department within your facility. So, for example, the next tab that I've added is labeled Maintenance Specific. Then another tab is added and labeled Production Specific. Note that I've added the ABC designation to indicate that this review is specific for the ABC company. You'll also set your tracker this way if you oversee several different facilities. Here's an additional second production specific tab for the second facility called the EFG company. You will probably only need to do this if the JSA review between the differing companies actually varies. Otherwise, combine employees at all facilities and continue to use your assigned color coding and location column to identify where they physically work. Next, I've included a tab titled Sanitation Specific. And the last department that I've included on my tracker is the Transportation Department. This particular spreadsheet will include both any commercial and non-commercial drivers at your facility. Congratulations on completing the last step of your training tracker. I recommend that you visit us at the Paper Jester Safety Resources website at www.paperjester.com, where you can access any JSE templates you need to fill in the gaps of your training review, and also where you can get a copy of the spreadsheet template if you want to skip some of the extra steps to set up the bones of your tracker yourself. I'm proud to be part of all of your hard work. You've just taken an important step that will hopefully make your jobs a whole lot easier. As always, it's my hope that you found value in these tips and tutorials. If so, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and take care, my friends.